Ed Warren once told the witnesses, "These entities don't possess things, they possess people." The truth was that the doll Annabelle was never truly possessed. It was simply moved around, manipulated like a puppet, giving the terrifying illusion of life. But the demon behind it was real, and the danger was far greater than anyone imagined. The attack on Lou was only a matter of time. Everyone around the doll was vulnerable, but because Lou had never believed in Annabelle's story, the entity chose him as its target. If nothing had been done, he likely would have been dead within 2 weeks. The only solution was an exorcism. Once again, they turned to Father Cook. At first he hesitated, but after learning how serious the situation was, he agreed. This time, however, he performed not a Catholic exorcism, the kind we imagine from the movies, full of violence and shouting, but an Episcopal blessing. A quieter ritual designed to fill the space with positive energy, with the presence of God, and to push darkness away. The ceremony passed without drama. Annabelle remained motionless, as if indifferent to the prayers. Afterward, the priest extended the blessing to Donna, Angie, Lou, and the Warrens, assuring them that the demon would no longer be able to harm them. But Ed and Lorraine weren't so sure. They doubted the entity had truly been banished. After all, the doll had already shown it could kill. They urged Donna to get rid of Annabelle once and for all. Reluctantly, Donna agreed. Ed picked up the doll carefully to pass it to Lorraine, but before they left, Father Cook gave a chilling warning: don't drive on the highway. If the entity is still inside, it could try to control your car. And so, the Warrens set off on what they would later describe as the most stressful drive of their lives. Annabelle sat in the back seat. Every sharp turn made the car shudder, the brakes faltered, and more than once they nearly veered off the road or into oncoming traffic. Finally, Ed pulled the car over, took out a vial of holy water, and sprinkled it onto Annabelle, tracing the sign of the cross. From that moment on, the car calmed, and they made it home safely. But peace didn't last. At first, Annabelle seemed quiet, almost dormant. Ed placed the doll in a chair near his desk. But he and his assistant soon reported seeing her levitate more than once before dropping back down. Weeks later, the activity escalated. The Warrens once locked Annabelle in their garage before leaving on an investigation. When they returned home, they opened the front door, and there she was, waiting for them, seated in Ed's desk chair, as if mocking their efforts to contain her. Annabelle began appearing in random rooms, just as she had in Donna's apartment. It became clear that stronger measures were needed. The Warrens called on Father Jason Bradford, an experienced Catholic exorcist. But the priest didn't take kindly to being summoned for what he thought was just a rag doll. Reports say Father Bradford lifted Annabelle violently from her chair and shouted, "You're just a doll, Annabelle. You can't hurt anyone." Then he tossed her back onto the chair. Ed turned pale. "It would have been better not to say that," he muttered. Lorraine, equally shaken, begged the priest to drive carefully and to call her when he arrived home. Hours later, in the middle of the night, that call came. Father Bradford, in shock, explained that his brakes had failed at an intersection. His car was completely destroyed, and though he and the others involved survived, it was only by a miracle. That was the final straw. The Warrens realized Annabelle was too dangerous to remain in the open. They built a specially sealed case, a glass coffin with a bold warning: danger, do not open under any circumstances. Since then, Annabelle has been confined inside the Warrens' occult museum. She can no longer move freely, but her power has not faded. One of the most disturbing stories tells of a young couple visiting the museum while Ed was guiding them. After hearing Annabelle's history, the young man, trying to impress his girlfriend, tapped on the glass and challenged the doll to prove her power. Ed ended the tour immediately and asked them to leave. That would be the last time the boy was seen alive. Minutes after leaving, he laughed about Annabelle's silly story as he rode his motorcycle. But suddenly, he lost control and crashed head-on into a tree. He died instantly. His girlfriend survived but spent nearly a year in the hospital recovering. Skeptics called it a coincidence, but the Warrens were convinced Annabelle was responsible. Ed Warren passed away in 2006. Lorraine, even in her 80s, insisted that Annabelle had never escaped her case. Still, she sometimes shifted position, and visitors to the museum claimed to hear a low growl coming from inside the glass. It's hard to say whether this is truly a case of demonic possession, a string of dark coincidences, or perhaps one of the best crafted hoaxes in paranormal history. The truth lies only with those who lived it, and perhaps, we may never know for certain. What is certain is this: whether through belief, fear, or experience, many of us know someone with a story about a doll that moves on its own at night. And it leaves us to wonder, are they simply tales born from imagination? Or are they echoes of something darker, like the entity that still lingers inside Annabelle? Until we find out, the mystery remains sealed, just like the doll herself.